Chapter 1, Bad Dream. I woke up all of a sudden, a scream stuck in my throat and my whole body wet with sweat. Another bad dream. They kept coming ever since Darian and I got back. I laid back on the bed, my hand rubbing the small bump on my tummy without thinking, staring at the dark ceiling above me. I knew Darian was awake too. He always woke up when I had bad dreams. Now he just stayed quiet and didn't ask. I wasn't going to tell him about the dream. There was nothing he could do to stop them. Only a miracle could do that. People had told me bad dreams would make me stressed, and stress wasn't good for the baby. But I couldn't stop them. It's not like I went to sleep saying, "Hey, let's have a nightmare tonight." I reached out with my other hand and held Darian's. He turned me around so I could see his face. His eyes looked into mine. He touched my cheek gently, and I closed my eyes, letting myself relax a little. It was just a small touch, nothing big. Just like if a stranger brushed against me. And that part really hurt. It felt like nothing special was left between us. I knew that wasn't true. We still loved each other deeply, and Darian always said that even if the feeling wasn't strong, we were still bonded. That he still loved me the same. But I wasn't sure anymore. That feeling we had used to keep me going, and now not feeling it made me feel like I was slowly falling apart inside. "My Selene," Darian whispered. He kissed my forehead, then softly kissed the tip of my nose. He pulled me close and wrapped his arms around me. His body was warm, and the heat passed into me. It had been 1 whole month without my wolf. I was scared she might be gone for good, that the goddess had tricked me and she wasn't coming back. I kept thinking about the baby. Would the baby be okay even though I didn't have my wolf anymore? Would something be wrong with it because something was wrong with me? These were the questions that kept spinning in my head. They even showed up in my dreams. But that was only part of it. The bad dream tonight was about me. The part of me that showed up when I fought the rogues. That side of me that I tried hard to keep hidden. She helped in that moment, but she brought back all the fear I buried. Now that she came back, I was afraid I couldn't keep control again. But I didn't need to worry much. I didn't even have my wolf now. She gave power to that part of me. Most of that strength was gone, like a battery drained. Just like the bond Darian and I used to have. Tears began to fall quietly from my eyes. Darian wiped them gently from my cheeks. "It's going to be okay, baby. I promise." He said those words every night. But they never helped. How could he say that? He didn't know how it felt to not have a wolf. I felt totally lost. I didn't even know who I was without her. No one said it out loud, but I knew people in the pack were starting to think I couldn't be their Luna. I didn't have my wolf. I didn't have my powers. I couldn't give them what they needed. Darian didn't want to say it, but I knew he felt it too. It was hurting him, just like when he didn't have a Luna before. Only now it was worse. He had me and now it felt like he'd lost me again. I could see it in him. Slowly, it was draining him. And I blamed myself. I cried for him, for my alpha, the man I would marry soon. I cried because I had no answers. I cried for the baby growing inside me, scared something might be wrong. The doctors checked me all the time, twice a week. They said everything looked fine. But I couldn't stop this deep feeling that something bad would happen. No one knew what to expect with this baby. It was growing faster than normal. I rubbed my belly again, gently. Darian nuzzled his face into me, his warmth wrapping around me. I felt him kiss my neck and hold me tighter. I let him help me settle down. Slowly, sleep came over me again. But the nightmares came back too. In this one, it was like I was watching myself from far away. The woman looked just like me, and that's what scared me the most. She looked like me, walked like me, talked like me. But the look in her eyes was something dark. It made me feel cold. She rushed through a house, searching for something or someone. I hoped she didn't find it. I was scared of what she might do. But she did find him. I did. A boy my age. I looked younger too, like when I lived with my old pack. The boy looked terrified, and I saw myself strike down at him as he flinched. The scene changed and now I was standing in the woods. I saw Jackson and the others. The ones who came to find me. I saw Darian lying still on the ground. Then I saw her. Rhea. I saw the weak version of me stand up. When Rhea went for Darian, I saw myself jump in the way. I saw me fight her. It was hard to watch, but I couldn't look away. I saw myself drive a hand into Rhea's chest and pull it out with her heart in my hand. I saw how that version of me stared at the blood, how she enjoyed the sight. My heart beat faster. Her eyes scared me. That was the part of me I tried to lock away. The part that came out when I was too weak to stop her. But she was the only one strong enough to save Darian. My Darian. The Darian who might never feel whole again. Because of them. Because of the stupid things I did while we were coming back. I pushed myself too far. I let that side of me take over. She used up all my strength when I had none left. And now, I couldn't reach the most important part of who I was. Now I wasn't whole anymore. Everything turned gray, then black. I felt like I was falling. Falling down into nothing. I would never hit the bottom. Never feel the crash. I was stuck falling forever, in the dark, with no end. Chapter 2, I'll be okay. I woke up before Darian again and went to take a shower. I let the warm water wash away the scary dreams from last night. The doctors had told me that those dreams were just pictures my scared mind made while I was sleeping. The pictures showed the fears I hid during the day. I was scared my wolf wouldn't come back. I was scared of what happened in the forest. I was scared of who I was now. I couldn't really argue with the doctor who said that. I mean, they're supposed to be smart, right? I stepped out of the shower and wrapped a big towel around my body. I took another towel and wrapped it around my wet hair after drying it a little. I tiptoed out of the bathroom into the bedroom, but it didn't matter. Darian was already awake. He was watching me move around. I saw in his eyes that he wanted to talk about what happened the night before. About the nightmares. He wanted to check if I was okay. But he also knew I didn't feel like talking. He and a bunch of doctors had already told me that stress wasn't good for the baby. They said I needed to say out loud what was going on in my head. They thought that if I shared my feelings, it would help take away some of the pressure and heavy thoughts. I did try talking in the beginning, but it didn't really help me. So I stopped. Darian got out of bed. His bare feet made soft sounds as he walked toward me. His pajama pants were hanging low on his hips, and his messy hair from sleeping made him look super handsome. He stood right in front of me and raised his hand to touch my face. I wanted him to touch me, but I was also scared to feel what was no longer there. His fingers gently brushed my cheek and he leaned in to kiss my lips. "Good morning, Selene," he said slowly. "Good morning," I said quietly. He turned me around and pulled me against his chest. His arms went around me, and his hands rested on my belly. "How's our little guy in there?" he whispered near my ear. "We don't know if it's a boy," I said. "But the baby's doing okay." I felt his soft smile on my neck as he left tiny kisses going up to my ear. "I got some news about Nolan and the group of bad wolves," he whispered gently. I froze in his arms. If stress was bad, then talking about the one who caused all this wasn't a smart idea. Nolan betrayed me, made me lose my wolf, and almost got Darian killed. He worked with a witch and ran away to another world. We're using our own witch to try to find him there. I'm planning to take Jackson with me. I can ask someone to stay here with you, to make sure you have everything you need and stay out of trouble. He stopped talking when I didn't say anything. "Selene? What? Will you be okay while I'm gone?" I wasn't sure at all. I needed him. But seeing him also hurt. Being near him was painful. Maybe having some time apart would be good. Maybe I needed time to think about us and everything else. I'll be okay. If you're sure. But remember, no work, Darian said firmly. He had been saying that since we found out stress was a problem. Darian, I can still do my duties here in the pack. If you're not going to be around to lead, what do you expect me to do? The truth was, without my wolf, I couldn't do everything like I used to. I could still do paperwork and other stuff like that, but the other important things were now too hard. That didn't mean I wanted to stop helping. And seriously, what else was I supposed to do while he was away? I had already done everything I could think of. I'd walked around the pack. I'd chatted with people who showed up at the house. I had done anything just to not feel bored. But now there was nothing left for me to try. No work. I mean it. I don't want you adding more weight on yourself. Darian, I already feel pressure every day. Sitting around doing nothing just makes it worse. It adds more stress on top of everything. And stress is just not something I can run away from. Maybe I need to call the doctor and see what he can do, he muttered. I stepped away and turned around to look at him. You are not giving me medicine to keep me quiet and out of the way. Darian, I'm sorry I can't be perfect. I'm sorry I can't just sit back and be calm all the time. I'm sorry I can't be who you want me to be. I'm a Luna without her wolf who's carrying a baby that's growing faster than it should. I waved my hands around to show how annoyed and full of feelings I was. And I'm a hormonal mess. I added. Darian's eyes got really wide. Whoa, Selene. You're everything I want. You're everything I need. I love you so much, every part of you. I wouldn't lie about that. I was only thinking maybe there's something that could help you feel more calm. Just something to lower the pressure. Darian put both of his hands on my shoulders. I'm just scared for you. I don't like the way you feel about yourself. You're stuck thinking about how you can't feel the bond between us anymore and that your wolf is gone, but that's not the only thing that matters. You're getting weaker, I said softly. It was one of those things we never really talked about. Well, one of the big things we didn't want to say out loud, about him. I didn't know if he thought about it all the time like I did, but if he was anything like me, then yes, it was probably stuck in his head too. It had to be bothering him. I could see the changes. He had to feel them too. And soon, the rest of the pack would notice as well. I don't know what you mean, he answered stiffly. I can see it draining you. We might still be mates in some way, but you don't have a true Luna beside you anymore to balance you. You always look tired now. The shadows under your eyes are getting darker. I haven't been sleeping much because of your nightmares, he said softly. I frowned. I knew he didn't mean to hurt me with that. He knew I couldn't stop the nightmares, and he never once got upset about staying up with me until I slept again. But saying he was tired just because of that wasn't fair. You know that's not why. You just don't want to face it. I'm not getting weaker. I have my mate and Luna right here. She still balances me just fine. His jaw was tight and determined, that strong way that made him look even more handsome. He wanted to believe his words were true. Maybe he actually did believe it. But I knew better. I'm going to get dressed. You should too, if you're heading to that other world with Jackson, I said quietly. He kissed me again, longer this time. He poured all his feelings into that kiss and it made my head spin. I could feel his love and his strength in that one moment, and it filled my heart. Even if I felt like space would be good for me right now, I knew deep down it was still going to hurt. We'd be completely out of touch. No way to call or talk to each other. That was a scary thing, but one we needed to face. Darian wanted to go after Nolan and stop him for good. And I needed time by myself to understand what was happening inside me. I had to figure out how to reach my wolf again. We both got ready and sat down to eat breakfast together. I was happy that the sickness didn't show up this morning. As we were finishing, Jackson came into the kitchen. Sir, the witch has agreed. She wants us to meet her in 3 Jackson minutes. She's got everything ready to help us go there and return, he said. Darian nodded and gently squeezed my hand. Jackson gave me a small smile. Selene, he said. Hi Jackson. How are you doing? I'm doing well. And you? As okay as I can be, I guess. Please take care of this one for me, alright? I will, he answered with a grin. Darian stood, and I turned in my seat to look at him. He stopped beside me and leaned in. His lips brushed against mine gently, and then kissed me deeply. His teeth lightly tugged at my bottom lip as the kiss grew stronger. I felt shy kissing Darian that way in front of Jackson. When Darian pulled back, I could feel my cheeks were warm. Even though I didn't feel that deep pull anymore, I still liked kissing Darian. But the missing pull always sat quietly in the back of my thoughts. I made up my mind that while he was gone, I was going to dig deeper into why I couldn't connect with my wolf. Darian had been taking me to doctors, asking other people for help, but nobody had answers. I had told him that the moon goddess said it was up to me to find her again. I didn't really know where to begin. And there wasn't anyone else who could guide me. I had tried calling out to the moon goddess again many times since that day, but nothing ever happened. She wasn't going to give me more help. Or maybe I just imagined the whole thing. Maybe I never spoke to her at all and it was only in my head. Maybe it was something I dreamed up while I was sick in the hospital. Maybe all of it was just a trick from my brain. I thought about all those possibilities. But no matter what, I had to do something. If I didn't, I would have to accept that I'd lost my wolf forever. That idea made me angry, because it meant I would be letting a lot of people down. I would be letting Darian down. He wouldn't have the Luna he needed by his side. He told me I was enough for him, but I knew that wasn't true. He needed a real Luna. And if I failed him, then I would be failing the entire pack too. The pack gets weak when its alpha weakens. If Darian let himself grow weaker because of me, then that meant Nolan had won. I would be failing my baby. I wouldn't be the strong mom my baby deserved. I wouldn't be able to keep it safe in this hard world. I couldn't even protect myself. I had rushed into danger and trusted someone who had turned against me. Even if I got my wolf back, could I really be a good mom? I had learned from those mistakes, but what if I made more mistakes later? A wave of panic hit me. I couldn't do this. I couldn't be a mom. I couldn't be a Luna. I couldn't do any of it. Especially when I didn't even feel whole inside. I started breathing deeply, in through my nose, out through my mouth. Slowly. Each breath helped me feel a little calmer. Panic brings stress, and stress is bad. Just take this one step at a time, Selene, I told myself. That's all I had to do. One small step at a time. Focus on what really matters. Bringing my wolf back. I had to stay focused. I needed to find my Luna. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 3, Sitting Quietly. It turned out to be a warm, bright day, and since Darian had gone, I chose to do something I hadn't done in a long time. I sat quietly to think and breathe. I didn't think anything special would happen, because nothing had worked the last few times I'd tried to reach the moon goddess. She had answered me once before, but since then, she hadn't come back. I walked through the pack grounds until I found a grassy spot that was quiet and shady. I sat at the foot of a tree, crossed my legs, and sat up straight. My hands rested gently on my knees while I closed my eyes. I breathed in through my nose and out through my mouth. I focused on my other senses, hearing the wind in the trees and the birds singing all around me. Moon goddess, please come back to me. I know you spoke to me before, but there's still a lot I need to know. I kept hoping she'd show up while I stayed still for Jackson 5 minutes. My eyebrows scrunched up more as every minute passed with nothing but the sound of wind and little animals nearby. I tried something else. I called out inside myself. I knew my wolf had to still be there somewhere. She couldn't just disappear. If there was still a chance for her to return, that meant she hadn't left. I just had to find her and figure out how to bring her back to me. I had tried doing this before too, and each time, I came up with nothing. I felt the soft grass under my bare legs and toes, the breeze lifting my hair, and the sunshine warming everything. I tried again to reach deep inside myself like Mrs. Evelyn told me to do. She was my nurse, but also someone who taught yoga and lots of other helpful things. She always had something to offer. She had been helping me manage my stress, especially through breathing and sitting quietly to explore what was going on inside me. I kept taking long breaths, trying to clear my thoughts. My body started to relax. I tried to go inward. I knew where Lena's voice had once come from inside me, so I went to that place right away. But it felt like crashing into a wall. There was nothing there, and yet it felt like something was pushing me away. That place was closed off to me. It was like this every single time. That's the only reason I believed Lena really was still inside. I just couldn't get to her. Something like a metal door was separating us, locking me out. I couldn't reach her. I couldn't heal, couldn't hear well, couldn't shift, couldn't feel Darian. That block was keeping me away from all of it. I pushed at the wall in my mind, but the harder I pushed, the stronger it became. It was like something behind it didn't want me to enter. I tried to relax my body even more, hoping that would help. I felt myself drifting, like my mind was floating away from my body. I could still feel things, but it didn't feel like it was my body anymore. I could feel everything inside me, the blood in my veins, the air in and out of my lungs. I could even feel the baby growing inside me. It felt like it was getting bigger every second, and I could feel it all. But that wall inside me didn't move. It just sat there, showing me that it was still blocking off a big part of who I was. A part that led all the way into my heart and soul. There you are. I've been searching all over for you, Selene. I jumped and opened my eyes fast. Mrs. Evelyn, you scared me. I'm sorry, sweetheart, I didn't mean to startle you. That's the last thing I'd ever want. And please, call me Evelyn, dear. I gave her a small smile. I had a feeling Mrs. Evelyn had been watching me closely, maybe because Darian had asked her to keep an extra close eye on me while he was away. What are you doing all the way out here? Sitting quietly, I said softly. Oh, sweetie. Mrs. Evelyn's face turned sad, and I could tell what she was thinking. She knew why I was doing this. It wasn't for the same reason she first showed me. She had wanted me to do it to help calm my nerves when I got too worked up. But she knew what I'd turned it into now. You can't force it, she said gently. How do you know that? This hasn't ever happened before. At least not that we know of. How do you know trying hard isn't what I'm supposed to do? Because you're hurting yourself more than helping. Your wolf went into hiding because something scared her deeply. Do you really believe forcing her is how you'll bring her back? She'll come when both of you are truly ready. I'm ready right now. I was ready a month ago. This pack is going to fall apart if I don't get her back, and you know it. I don't know what you're talking about. Mrs. Evelyn looked flustered, but I knew that she did know. She knew what was going on with Darian. She knew what was happening to him. It wasn't because he couldn't sleep like he said. She knew better. But no one wanted to admit it. Maybe because he told them not to, or maybe they were scared of what it would mean. I wasn't sure which. Come on, now. You should come back to the house with me. We've got your medicine waiting, and we need to check your levels. We have to be sure you and the baby are healthy. Everything's fine, I snapped. I instantly felt bad for it. I knew Mrs. Evelyn was only trying to help, but my patience had been short lately. She gave me a serious look, hiding her surprised face quickly. I let out a deep breath and stood up, walking behind her back to the pack house. I had noticed how she didn't say anything about checking if the baby was normal. Everyone avoided using that word like it was bad luck. But how could anything about me or this baby be normal? I didn't have my wolf, and the baby was growing faster than any of us could understand. We headed back to the bedroom. That's where we always did these checkups. I hated going into the hospital, and we both wanted things to stay private. I'd pick the bedroom over that hospital any time. Mrs. Evelyn moved around quickly. She took a bit of my blood, checked my blood pressure, my heartbeat, my weight, everything that came with a normal checkup, plus more. They had been keeping a close watch on me because of both my condition and the baby's. Mrs. Evelyn hummed a little, frowned sometimes, and scribbled things into her notebook. She didn't talk much while she worked. I had stopped asking questions a long time ago. I just sat quietly and did whatever she asked me to do. I knew if she had something important to say, she would say it. Finally, she looked up from her notes and spoke. "You both look completely healthy," she said with a soft smile. I didn't correct her, even though I knew deep down that I couldn't be fully healthy without Lena. But I and my team are still confused by what's happening with the baby. It seems like you're almost at the end of your first trimester. The baby is acting like it's already at the 3-month mark. I kept myself from frowning. I was only a month and a half pregnant, but the baby looked like it was 3 months along. I rubbed the little bump on my stomach without thinking. "If the baby keeps growing this quickly," she continued, "it looks like you'll be giving birth around 5.5 months. I swallowed down my rising panic. 5 months. That meant I only had 3.5 more months before I had a baby. I felt like I was going to faint. "I want you to start taking these until the pregnancy is over. They'll help the baby grow well. We want it to be as strong and healthy as possible." I nodded slowly. In just under 4 months, I was going to become a mom. I had no clue how to take care of a baby. I could barely manage myself, which the past 2 months had clearly shown, really, my whole life had shown. "I also want you to take it easy. No more stress. I mean that. Stay away from anything that makes you upset." "My life is full of stress," I said with a dry laugh. "I've got a baby inside me growing faster than normal. My fiancé just left to chase down the guy who betrayed us in another world, and oh yeah, my wolf is completely gone. You've told me that before, many times. But right now, there's nothing you can do about that. I can still try. You can keep trying like you've been doing, but it hasn't gotten you anywhere. You're using the same methods and seeing no results. Right now, you need to focus on yourself and your baby's health. Worrying about your wolf isn't good for the baby. The child inside you should be what matters most." Her voice was sharp. I could tell she was annoyed with me, and honestly, I was just as annoyed. I knew she was right, but I didn't want to admit it out loud. There had to be some balance somewhere. "I'm putting you on bed rest for the rest of the day," she finally said while she started to pack up her things. "But you said I'm totally fine. That the baby's healthy. The baby is doing great, and I want to keep it that way. Stay inside this house and don't stay on your feet too much. I'll be nearby if you need anything. Let me guess, your new job is to babysit me now." "Something like that," she said with a small grin. I rolled my eyes. "Just like I expected. Now lie down. Can I at least go to the entertainment room? There's a TV there and other people. If I have to be stuck in one place, I'd rather not be stuck alone." I didn't want to be by myself. I needed something to distract me, and having people around and a screen to look at was better than staring at nothing. "All right. But once you're there, you stay there." Okay. "I won't sneak off again," I muttered. "And take your medicine." Mrs. Evelyn dropped the pills into one hand and gave me a glass of water with the other. I rolled my eyes again, popped the pills in my mouth, and swallowed them with a big sip of water. I made my way into the entertainment room and saw a small group already sitting around the TV. They were playing some kind of game. I sat down on the couch and tucked my feet under me. They all looked at me for a moment, then went back to their game. I watched as the characters on the screen ran around. Loud gunshots blasted from the speakers, followed by screams and sounds of people falling. It was a silly game, but I got pulled into its rhythm. My eyes started to get heavy while I watched, and before I knew it, they closed, and I didn't have the energy to open them again. Chapter 4, Running. I was surrounded by people. I knew none of it made sense. The people standing around me weren't folks I would normally see together. It was a mix of people from my old pack and a few I'd met here. One of them, someone from here, had really been getting to me though. They were all telling me how useless I was, how I'd never be anything important. Which was weird, because most of them hadn't even spoken a word to me before. But that didn't stop them. Every time I turned around, another person was there saying the same things. Just when I thought I'd finally gotten away, the biggest blow hit. I was running away, looking back to check that no one was behind me. When I looked forward again, I came to a sudden stop. There she was. Face to face with me again after all this time. Aphrodite was staring at me, her head tilted slightly with a Nas Jackson smirk on her lips. She was holding a small bundle wrapped in cloth. I didn't know what it was, until I saw a tiny hand poke out. She looked down at the bundle and smiled, gently touching it with her perfectly polished finger. The small hand grabbed her finger, and I heard a soft baby laugh. Aphrodite's dark eyes looked up at me again. I tried to tell you from the beginning, you don't belong here, but you wouldn't listen. She stepped forward, getting closer. I knew you wouldn't make it. You were holding everyone back. If we had stuck with you, this pack would have been crushed by others. You know where that would have ended, we'd all be gone in weeks. I'm just thankful Darian came to his senses before it was too late. I'm not even sorry. I liked every second of it. Now I have your title, your mate. She paused and stood right in front of me, where I could see the bundle clearly. And your baby. I only hope he's not broken like you are, she hissed. I looked down at my belly, where the small bump had been growing. There was nothing there now. Aphrodite threw her head back and laughed. No. I screamed, reaching for the bundle, but in a blink, she vanished. I looked up and saw her farther away. I ran toward her, but the faster I moved, the farther away she seemed. I pushed myself harder and then saw someone else beside her. It took a second, but I realized, it was Darian. I should have never wasted time on you. You only slowed me down. I nearly lost everything for someone I barely knew. I should have taken the bond ending as a sign to get out while I could. Darian turned toward Aphrodite and kissed her on the head, then looked lovingly at the bundle in her arms. His eyes lit up, and together, they turned to leave. I pushed myself even more, but it didn't matter. My speed was gone, and even if I had it, I didn't know if it would have helped. I should have known from the start, you were the real Luna, Aphrodite. I never should have doubted it. And then, they were gone. Darian, my Darian, was gone. He had left with my child, letting Aphrodite take my place. It was my biggest fear. And now it had come true. He saw that he needed a real Luna, and I wasn't that. He picked her over me, and I was left with nothing. I dropped to the ground, my chest burning from running. My legs felt like jelly. I curled into a ball and cried. My baby. She had taken my baby. She had taken everything, my whole life. I had fought for Darian. I had killed for him. And still, he walked away with her, carrying our child. Would he grow up thinking Aphrodite was his mom? Would they even tell him about me? Would they let me see him? Him. That's when I knew. It wasn't just a baby. It was a boy. I had a son. I had seen his little green eyes, even if only for a second, and then he was taken from me. The pain hit hard, tearing through me. I felt like I was falling apart from the inside. I was nothing. Just an EMP Jackson shell of who I used to be. I left my family behind looking for something better, but all I found was worse. Loneliness was hard, but it was nothing compared to having everything, and then losing it. My body shook with sobs while I laid there. The whispers of the people from earlier surrounded me again. Pathetic. Useless. Monster. Worthless. Their voices echoed in my head and around me while I stayed curled up on the ground. I woke up with a jolt. My hand flew to my stomach, and I felt the bump. The TV in front of me was off. The room was quiet. I let out a long breath as my body relaxed. It was only a dream. Everything was okay. Or at least, as okay as it had been before I dozed off. Aphrodite wasn't the Luna. She didn't have Darian. And she definitely didn't have my baby boy. Boy? I wondered if that part of the dream was real. Was I having a boy? If I was, Darian would be so happy. He'd be happy with whatever we had, just because it was ours, but I knew he secretly wanted a boy. I smiled softly at the thought. I shifted a little, and then froze. Aphrodite was sitting at the far end of the couch. Her dark eyes were locked on me, head tilted slightly, just like in the dream. She looked nearly the same, only this time, she wasn't holding any baby. And if I had anything to say about it, she never would. She would never touch me or my child. Why are you here? I asked, baring my teeth. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 5, No Sweetie. Well, I just came to check if what I heard was real, Aphrodite said with a grin. Everything about her reminded me of a snake. Check if what was real. There were a lot of unbelievable things lately, lots of stuff people might want proof of. What could she possibly be trying to find out? Well, the baby for starters, and then the part about your wolf. Her head tipped the other way, and my hand instantly went to my belly. I felt my stomach twist with sickness just from her being interested in the baby, especially after what I saw in that awful dream. It does kind of look like something's going on there, and I can already hear its heartbeat. Are you sure it even belongs to Darian? I mean, really, you've only been here for what, just over a month? Doesn't really add up. I wanted to slap her right then and there. She was hinting that I'd been with someone else. That maybe this baby wasn't even Darian's. I knew the baby was growing too fast and the timing didn't look right, but I still wanted to punch her in the mouth. I know this might shock you, since I'm talking to you and, well, I do know your habits, I said, trying hard to keep my voice calm. But not every woman is a whore, you know. Her eyes got narrow and I had to hold back a smile. What even are you? She snapped. I don't smell wolf on you. You don't smell like anything, not anything from here anyway. There's nothing left. So can you even be the Luna now? How are you supposed to lead a pack when you don't even have what makes you Luna? I clenched my jaw. That one hit hard. Aphrodite always knew how to poke the sore spots. She had a talent for finding the wound and digging right in. One day, she'd press the wrong button, and it would cost her big time. Why do you even care what I've got in me? I care because I live in this pack. And if it's all gonna go down the drain because of you, then I want to stop that before it happens. I like being safe here, and I want it to stay that way. Then you'd better stay out of my way or you'll be on your own, I said, my voice getting sharper. You can't do anything. Darian isn't here, and you don't have the power to back up that mouth. Maybe not. But that doesn't mean I won't kill you, I said, tilting my head and opening my eyes wide like a crazy person. You heard what I did to those rogues out there, didn't you? How I snapped one's neck and ripped the heart out of another. Aphrodite paused for a moment, then laughed. Sweetheart, you'd need actual strength for that. And that's something you don't have anymore. You're as helpless as, well, as a baby bird. I don't see you doing much of anything. She stopped for a second. But listen, if I find out this pack is hurting because of you, I'll do whatever it takes to stop that from happening. Understand? Is that supposed to scare me? I asked, giving her a dry, cold laugh. No, sweetie. It's a promise. And I always keep my promises. Aphrodite stood up and walked away without looking back. I caught myself wishing Darian was back, wishing I could talk to him somehow. But our bond was cut off. There was no way to reach him, and he wasn't coming back. Not anytime soon. I started to think maybe letting him go had been a mistake. I'd wanted space. I thought I needed time to think, but now I was stuck dealing with everything on my own. He wasn't here to hug me, kiss me, or tell me that things would be okay. Even if his words never fixed anything, they helped me not feel so lost. They made me feel like he believed in me. Now I didn't have that anymore. I stood up and felt dizzy. My balance slipped a little before I got my footing back. That was weird. I'd never felt like that before. The only thing that had changed was, "Mrs. Evelyn? Where on earth did you go?" I shouted through the house. I heard the soft tapping of her shoes on the hard floor, and she walked in from around the corner. "Yes, duh," she stopped mid-word when she saw my face. "Oh no. What did you do to me?" "Well, you see, I leaned my head forward, raising my eyebrows at her like I was waiting for her to keep going. "He told me to do it. I said it wasn't a good idea. I warned him that you'd be mad if you found out, but I couldn't say no." "You just don't say no to him." "I didn't really have a choice." I sighed and rubbed the bridge of my nose while she kept rambling. She was scared of making me mad because she had to live with me, but also scared of going against what the alpha had told her to do. "It's okay, Mrs. Evelyn. Just, please don't do that again. I'm asking nicely. Don't make me have to tell you." Mrs. Evelyn nodded her head fast. Yes. I swear I won't do it again. But can you please try to rest too?" I let out a long sigh, feeling like I had nothing left to say. I didn't know what else to do, so I just agreed. I knew I needed to stop being so rough on her and the others around me. I'd been full of mood swings lately, and everything else happening was just piling up on top of that. I knew it wasn't right to take it out on everyone else, but I felt like I was stuck in a dark, deep hole. Maybe I just didn't want to feel like I was stuck there by myself. "I promise." I stood there for a second, then spoke again. "Now I'm going to grab something to eat. I'm super hungry." "Yes, please do. You need something in your stomach." Mrs. Evelyn walked with me into the kitchen and started moving around while I opened the fridge. I grabbed some meat, cheese, and lettuce, and Mrs. Evelyn gave me a small frown. "What?" "I'm just making a sandwich. I have lettuce, that's a veggie, and there's meat and cheese too." Fine. "Eat your sandwich," she said, waving her hand like it didn't matter. "I'll be nearby if you need anything. Don't forget what I said. Stay in bed and avoid stress." "I got it." "Oh, Selene. I'll be asking the goddess to look after you." "I think she's already forgotten about me," I muttered as Mrs. Evelyn left the kitchen. I started putting together my sandwich, spread some mayo on the bread, added a little mustard, then the meat, cheese, and lettuce. I stood by the counter while I ate, hoping it would keep me from running into anyone. After dealing with Aphrodite, I wasn't in the mood to talk to anybody else. Once I finished eating, I went straight back to the bedroom. I knew no one would bug me there, at least no one who would make things worse. I tried to relax, but everything Aphrodite had said, both in the dream and in the living room, kept repeating in my mind. I knew it sounded silly to let a dream control me like this, but her words felt so real. It made me question if it was just a dream at all, or if it was a warning of what could happen. Maybe it was showing a future where Darian finally saw how much of a mistake he'd made. That he had put his time and trust in someone who would end up hurting the pack. To me, the dream felt way too real to ignore. It felt like something that could really happen. One day, Darian might open his eyes and realize he was weaker, and the whole pack would be in danger. Maybe not right away, but if someone attacked and he couldn't keep everyone safe because of me. Part of me believed that the Blood Alpha would do what had to be done to protect his people. If that time came, the answer would be simple. If the dream truly showed what could happen, then I had less than 4 months to bring my wolf back. My heart started beating faster and faster, and it felt like the walls were closing in on me. I was about to have a full-blown panic attack. Chapter 6, Rules and Papers. I had managed to calm down, but I still couldn't fall asleep. Probably because of whatever Mrs. Evelyn gave me earlier to help me sleep. I sighed and got up, heading into Darian's office. I walked around his desk and sat down in his chair. I saw a pair of glasses folded neatly next to the desk lamp. I smiled a little when I saw them, remembering the first time I came into the room and saw him wearing them. I turned away from the glasses and started going through the desk, looking for the papers I needed. I checked drawer after drawer, then turned to the cabinet behind me and looked through those too. I finally found the right ones in the last drawer I hadn't opened yet. Figures. I pulled out the documents, turned back around, and switched on the desk light, staring down at what I had in front of me. They were the forms used to remove someone from the pack. Aphrodite's words, both what she really said and the ones from my dream, had been messing with my head. There was only one way I knew I could stop her from ever getting anything from me again, removing her from the pack completely. She had been right about one thing, though: I couldn't do it by myself. These forms needed signatures from both the Alpha and the Luna, unless one of them was missing. But Darian wasn't gone for good, he was just out of town. I also understood why he hadn't kicked Aphrodite out already, and why he hadn't let me do it either. He cared deeply about his pack. That didn't mean he cared about her. Every time he looked at her, I could tell he felt gross, probably with her and with himself. Darian didn't leave behind his people. Not unless they did something really unforgivable. He felt like it was his job to protect them, and he took that seriously. After I came back, I'd argued with him for a long time about Aphrodite still being in the pack. I even accused him of liking her, but I knew deep down that wasn't true. Even though I couldn't feel the bond between us anymore, his feelings about her were still super clear, like he was wearing them on his face. I groaned as I looked at the papers again. After what happened today, I really wanted to go ahead and fill them out. I wanted to put her name on them, sign mine, and get her as far from this place as possible. But I knew it wouldn't count unless Darian signed too, and she wouldn't leave unless it was official, and she couldn't come back. Still, I had this strong feeling to protect. My hand went to my belly again, and the image of Aphrodite holding my baby filled my mind. There was no way I'd let her near my child. Right then, I grabbed a pen and started filling out the forms, signing my name at the end. I didn't care, I was going to do this. It needed to be done. I just asked Darian to sign it when he got back. He's going to think I've totally lost my mind, I thought to myself. He'd ask me why I did it. And the real reason was that dream, but I couldn't exactly tell him that. I'd have to come up with better reasons and stronger proof. I looked down at my stomach, it seemed just a bit bigger than it was earlier. I frowned, feeling like I was racing against time. What if that dream was showing me what could really happen? If that was true, then I didn't have much time left to fix this. Please slow down, little one. Just give mommy a little more time. I really need it. Those words caught me off guard. It was the first time I'd said them. I had just called myself mommy. Saying it made something warm and soft move through me. I was going to be a mom. And for once, I wasn't scared about it. I thought I felt a little movement inside me, but I knew that wasn't possible. It was way too early to feel anything. Mrs. Evelyn. I shouted as I stood and walked out of the office. Yes, what's going on? I heard her call back, her voice full of concern. I heard her quick steps on the hard floor as she hurried toward me. Is it possible to get an ultrasound? I asked, my voice sounding a little worried. Is something wrong? Is the baby okay? I don't think anything's wrong. I just thought I felt something move, but I shook my head. That's not supposed to happen yet. You shouldn't be feeling movement already. Her voice sounded even more nervous than mine had a moment ago. Was it a bad sign that I'd felt something? Should I go to the room now? No. We don't have everything here for that. I need to take you to the clinic. She gently grabbed my arm and led me along, rubbing my arm as if to calm me down. But it only made me more uneasy. Please try to relax. I can smell how worried you are. I can't just relax. You say that like I can flip a switch and turn feelings on or off. Mrs. Evelyn gave me a sorry look. Everyone had been telling me over and over to stop worrying and quit stressing, and I kept trying to explain that those weren't really things I could just turn off. I understand, sweetheart. I'm sorry you're going through all of this. It's all so hard. You've been through more than most people. Alpha Blackthorn and I just want what's best for you. He really cares about what happens to you, and I do too. You're our Luna, after all, and we want to be sure you stay safe and healthy. What about him, though? Shouldn't someone be making sure he's okay too? I whispered. I could tell by how she said his name that she was also worried about him. She didn't just take care of me medically, she looked after him too. She knew, just like I did, that something had started changing in Darien, and it could get worse any time now. Keeping you and your baby healthy is a big part of keeping Darien healthy, too. She said it with confidence. I wondered if she really believed it, or if she was just trying to convince herself. We finally reached her clinic, and she had me sit down and lean back. She started getting things ready for the ultrasound, and I could feel my nerves building. I hoped nothing was wrong. I hoped what I'd felt earlier had just been my imagination. Mrs. Evelyn spread the cold gel on my stomach and moved the wand over it. After a little while, we saw something on the screen. It was faint, but there, it didn't really look like a baby yet. More like a tiny blob inside me. There it is. Everything looks fine, Mrs. Evelyn said. So I shouldn't be feeling anything yet? Nothing's wrong with the baby, and it shouldn't be moving at all? From what I see, it's totally possible, she said, sounding curious. How far along does it look like I am? From this image, I'd say around Twin Jackson to Twin Jackson 2 weeks. You're 5, almost 6 months pregnant. I leaned my head back and stared at the ceiling. Almost 6 months, and it hadn't even been 2 whole months yet. What's strange is that the baby isn't growing at a steady speed. What do you mean? I asked, getting a little anxious. I mean, he's not growing at double or triple the normal pace. It seems to change, maybe even daily. So what does that mean for when I'm going to have the baby? To be honest, I'm not sure anymore. At this rate, he could be born anytime. I opened my mouth to speak, then closed it again as I let all of that sink in. She had said he twice now. He? Oh yes, she said, turning the screen so I could see better. He's far enough along now that we can tell he's a boy, very clearly. There's no question, she added, pointing to one part of the screen that definitely proved the baby was a boy. I put my hand over my mouth and felt tears forming in my eyes. I wished Darien was there. I wished he could see this, see our baby. See our son on the monitor. Are you all right, honey? She asked, sounding concerned. I'm okay, I said with a nod. I cleared my throat to hide the shaky voice that was starting to come out. Oh, sweetheart. Darien should be here with you right now. Especially since we don't know when that baby's going to decide to come, she said, half scolding. It was the second time she had called him Darien. I guess she felt more comfortable using his first name when he wasn't around. Not many people dared to do that. He's doing something important right now, I answered, sounding stronger than I felt. Nonsense. There's nothing more important than your child. I could have argued with her. I felt like the safe Jackson of our whole pack was Pret Jackson important, especially now, with all the families living here, and a baby of our own on the way. Nolan and his rogue followers were still out there. I was sure they weren't done. They might scatter for a while, but anyone who thought they'd quit for good was fooling themselves. They'd regroup eventually. I'm going to figure out how to reach him and make sure he knows everything before I tell him to get his butt back here. You're all set, Selene, darling. Make sure you rest like I said. She was already out the door, so I didn't bother saying anything back. I just sat there, staring at the monitor, now black, with a smile on my face. That smile faded fast though, because I remembered the dream. No. I'm not going to let that mess with my head. It was just a dream, nothing else, I said as I stood up and pulled my shirt down. There was no way I'd let a dream control my life and give me more stress. I wasn't going to allow it. I walked back to the house, my hands resting over my stomach the whole time. I started whispering softly as I rubbed it. I told you to slow down and give mommy more time, little one. But this isn't slowing down. It feels like the opposite. My path led me by the little play area where kids were running, swinging, and sliding down. I watched them laugh and have fun. That's going to be you soon at this pace, I said, watching a bit longer before heading back toward the house. After everything that had happened, I was totally worn out. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 7, 2 Choices. Darien. Jackson and I had just walked out of a bar. It wasn't much help when it came to finding the rogues, but it did help us understand the world better. I met a werewolf, his name was Milo, I think. He asked for my help, and by doing that, he gave me a better idea of the people in this place. It felt strange when he told me that not everyone here was a werewolf, or even had powers. I'd never heard of anything like that before. He said they were called humans. And that's what Selene had become. She was now something that didn't exist in our world. It left me confused. Milo asked for help and, in return, promised to reach out to someone who might be able to help me track the rogues. I thanked him and gave him the contact info we had for this world, but I wasn't sure how long we'd be staying. The rogues were moving fast. We were only hours behind them, and still saw no trace when we arrived. I had given Mrs. Evelyn the name of the witch who helped us cross between worlds, just in case. I never thought she'd actually need it. So when I saw her standing in front of the place we were staying, my heart nearly fell out of my chest. What's going on? Is something wrong? No, nothing is wrong. My body relaxed. Selene was okay. So was the baby. Then I stiffened again. If everything's fine, why are you here? I told you only in emergencies. Well, I'd say the possible arrival of your baby counts as an emergency, Alpha, Evelyn said, hand on her hip. Evelyn was great at her job, but sometimes a little too casual. She always seemed to do just enough to stay respectful, but only just. The baby's coming now? That can't be. It's only been, I paused, trying to count how long it had been since that night. It hasn't even been 2 months yet. That baby doesn't care about the calendar. He's almost 6 months along. I dragged a hand through my hair, letting her words sink in. It's a boy? I asked. Mrs. Evelyn gave a small nod and a faint smile, before it disappeared again. Then why do I feel like something is wrong? I asked. With everything about this pregnancy and Selene's condition, we're not really sure what to expect, Evelyn said, choosing her words very carefully. What does that mean? Selene's been under constant pressure this whole time. Losing her wolf has eaten away at her. I know her nightmares are getting worse, you even said so. The baby's been growing at a ridiculously fast pace. What are you saying, Evelyn? I felt every muscle in my body tense. Jackson felt it too, I knew it. I'm saying we don't know for sure, but it's possible that all the stress from the pregnancy, and then the strain of giving birth, could be fatal, sir. My jaw locked. My hands curled into fists. I felt my wolf stir violently inside me. I turned to Jackson. I'm going back. You stay here. Once I arrive, I'll send 2 more men to join you. Keep tracking the rogues. Understand? Jackson nodded. Yes, sir. I looked back at Evelyn. You and I need to talk. Alone. We walked a little way to the meeting spot we had set with the witch. Moments later, we were back in familiar land, just a mile outside the edge of my pack. The witch wasn't there, likely gone again. It took me nearly 3 days to finally find that witch you mentioned. She's a hard one to catch. Then it took hours to convince her I was someone you trusted. Witches don't trust easily. My father's name helped me get through. That's the only reason I got in, I replied. I knew she was just trying to dodge the topic. I wanted to avoid it too, because once it was spoken out loud, it became too real. Tell me everything now. I already did. That's what's going on. You didn't really tell me anything. You just dropped it on me that my mate might not survive having our child. Is it really that surprising? That baby shouldn't even be born for another 7 months. And it might arrive any time now. Selene's body hasn't had any time to adjust to the growth. She doesn't have her wolf. She's not whole, Alpha. It wasn't the first time I'd heard that. Selene had told me the goddess said she wasn't whole either. I didn't believe it. I thought she was. She just needed to find whatever was inside her that was keeping her wolf from coming back. But how could I argue with a goddess? There are people back in that world, ones who don't have wolves, and they have babies all the time. Evelyn gave me a strange look. She had never heard of such a thing before. That may be, but those people aren't having babies that grow 3 times faster than normal. And they're not giving birth to werewolf children. Truth is, Alpha Blackthorn, we don't know what will happen when this baby decides it's ready. I came to warn you, to help you be ready for anything. Telling me this might happen doesn't prepare me for it, Evelyn. Nothing could prepare me for something like that. Then take it as a warning, she said, sounding cold and tired. I knew she cared about Selene. They hadn't always gotten along, but she still cared about her well-being. Did you tell Selene this yet? No. I wanted you to be the first to know. It's your call if she should hear it. On one hand, it might just give her more stress. But on the other, she deserves to know what could happen. What do we do if something goes wrong during the delivery? If we start to lose her, what options are there? If it comes to that, we'll have 2 choices, sir. And what are they? I asked, pressing for the answer. My stomach twisted. I wasn't sure I wanted to know, but I needed to know. This was something I had to talk to Selene about. I couldn't hide something like this from her. My worst nightmare came true when Mrs. Evelyn said the next words. To save the baby or to save Selene. Chapter 8, His Protector. I had just finished putting on a shirt, trying to stretch it over my constantly growing belly, when I noticed something move in the mirror. My eyes shifted upward, and there he was, standing there. I turned around and looked straight at Darian. He didn't move. He just stood there, staring at me. I couldn't figure out what his expression meant. Was he surprised? Worried? I couldn't tell. Suddenly, I felt really uncomfortable. Maybe he thought I looked strange, like I had swallowed a bowling ball. I started turning away, avoiding his eyes, but he crossed the room quickly. He reached for my hand and turned me back around. He could tell I felt awkward. You're beautiful, Selene. I was just caught off guard by how much you've changed. It hasn't even been that long. It felt like he could read my mind, but I knew he couldn't. We didn't have that link anymore. The one that let us feel each other's thoughts. Darian placed his hand on my stomach, and right then, the baby kicked against his hand. Darian's face lit up with a smile, then it faded. Something was bothering him. What is it? Did you find the rogues? What happened? I asked. We didn't find them. They're really good at hiding. They don't want to be found, and they know exactly what they're doing. I came back because Evelyn said this little guy could show up any minute now. Darian smiled again, but his voice held sadness. Why does it feel like something's off? Like you're keeping something from me. He took a deep breath and lifted his eyes to meet mine. Evelyn told me something, and it's not good. My heart felt like it might stop. What could she have said? She hadn't told me anything that sounded too serious before. What did she say? My voice came out small and quiet. She said there might be some issues when the baby is born. I blinked, too stunned to speak. What kind of issues? I finally asked. She's worried your body might not be strong enough to handle the rest of the pregnancy. The baby is growing so fast, and she thinks it might be causing damage inside you. And when it's time to give birth, it could be really dangerous, especially without your wolf. Him, I corrected. What? Him. The baby is a boy. Not just the baby. That's what you're focusing on? Out of everything I just said? Yes, because he's our son. I knew there could be risks. I'd be silly to pretend there weren't. But he's our son, and we're going to face it together. You could die, Darian said, his grip tightening around my hand. Or I could live. Nothing is set in stone, except one thing I'm about to say. Darian's eyes were serious, staring deep into mine. No matter what, you are going to make sure our child, our son, is safe. Selene, Darian began, shaking his head. But I held up my hand, stopping him. My biggest fear is that I won't be able to protect our son. That I'm not strong enough. But I'm not going to let fear control me. I'm going to do whatever I can to protect him. And I want you to do the same. I want you to be his protector. But I can't lose you, he whispered. And I can't lose him. So I guess that means we only have one option. Darian looked at me like he knew what I was about to say. We have to get my wolf back. How do we do that? If I had the answer, I'd already have her back. Selene, you've already tried everything. I know how badly this hurts you, but I don't think it's something you can force. Maybe I need to talk to a witch. Do you think a spell could help? I'm not letting any random magic near our unborn baby, Darian said right away. Even a witch you trust? You don't want to try something that could help me and him just because you're scared of magic near the baby? Darian rubbed his hands through his hair. I could tell he was really thinking about it. He knew how much I wanted this. And more than that, he knew how much I needed it. Time was running out. I held onto the dresser and bent forward with a small grunt. What's wrong? Darian asked, quickly leaning down to help. He kicked. I'm okay. I didn't want to tell him I was feeling strange. Like all my energy had vanished and I just needed to lie down. I'll try to get in touch with Soraya. Maybe she can help. Darian left the room, muttering to himself. I wished I had my sharp hearing back so I could hear what he was saying as he walked down the hallway toward his office. I rubbed my stomach and sat down on the edge of the bed. You're not giving mommy any rest, huh? You need to calm down a bit. I leaned back as far as I could and looked up at the ceiling. We don't even have a name for you yet. I wondered if Darian's family had any special naming rules. Some alpha bloodlines did that. I never met his parents. They were gone before I came into his life. His dad had died, but his mom, I didn't know what happened to her. I didn't even know his dad's real name. Just Alpha Blackthorn or the Blood Wolf. That was what his dad had been called, and what Darian was called now. For all I knew, our son would be named Darian the something. Darian was right. I had tried everything. I'd tried reaching out to the goddess again, nothing. I'd tried pulling my wolf back, but the wall in my mind wouldn't let her through. If it even was my wolf. But what I hadn't tried yet, was doing it with help from a witch. Maybe if she could put me in some sort of trance, it would let me go deep enough to talk to the goddess again. Maybe I could get an answer. Maybe I could find out what I needed to fix my broken soul. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 9, Luna's Role. Darian had tracked down Soraya and got her to agree to come back to the house, but only if he promised no one else would be allowed in while she was there. That seemed simple enough. He made an announcement to the whole pack that the house was off limits until he said otherwise, and we chose to meet in the study. The lighting there was easy to control, and it was right in the center of the house, so there would be fewer distractions. Soraya and I sat in 2 leather chairs across from each other while Darian stood in the corner. Honestly, it looked like he didn't trust the witch as much as he'd claimed. "Thank you for coming today," I told her. "The Blackthorn family has helped my bloodline many times over the years, and they've rarely asked for anything in return. This is the least I can do. Now, tell me, what do you hope to gain from this meeting?" She crossed her leg and leaned back. "I was hoping you could help me connect with the moon goddess. I've tried reaching out to her, but she won't respond to me anymore. Gods and goddesses are tricky beings. They get involved as little as they can. There's no promise she'll appear." "I understand. I'm not asking her to get involved. I just need answers. If I can get those, maybe I can get my wolf back." Soraya's nose scrunched slightly. "Darian explained your situation. I didn't really believe it until I smelled it myself." "Smelled it?" I shifted in my seat. "Witches can smell wolves. You don't smell like one, or not as strongly. But I can smell the little wolf growing inside you." I placed a hand on my belly, feeling the baby move again. "So can we try this?" "As I said, I'll do what I can. But there's no promise when it comes to the divine." "All right then, let's begin." Soraya stood up. "Normally, I'd have you lie flat on the floor, but that's not a great idea given your current shape. You'll stay in that chair." She pulled some herbs from her bag and arranged them in a circle around my seat. "These herbs will help calm you and guide your mind into a spiritual place. The area has to stay pure." She continued placing things. "Darian, if you're going to stay there radiating that energy, I'll have to ask you to leave." "I'm not leaving her." His voice was low and firm, and it made a chill run down my spine, raising the hair on my arms. It was his alpha tone. "Well, you can't stay in here. That energy you're giving off will mess with what we're trying to do." He glared at her. He didn't say it, but I knew from the look in his eyes, if anything happened to me, she'd be in serious trouble. He stormed out, and immediately, I felt the change. The pressure he had brought into the room lifted. The space felt open and light again. "Is that what you always feel?" I asked Soraya. "To different degrees, yes. It gets stronger when I've set up a ritual area like this." "That's why you noticed it at all." She pulled a book from her bag and set it on the desk beside me. "That must be tiring." I couldn't imagine sensing that all the time. "Why do you think witches choose to live alone in the forest?" "Fair point." "Now," Soraya said as she walked to stand in front of me, "I need you to clear your thoughts. Focus completely on the goddess you're calling for." I closed my eyes and took a slow breath, picturing the goddess with her dark hair, flowing white cloth, and peaceful glow. I could faintly hear Soraya chanting in another language, and soon my arms and legs began to tingle. Everything began fading. Her voice grew softer and softer until it was gone. All I could hear was the breeze. The tingling disappeared too, and I felt nothing except the warm sun on my skin and grass beneath my feet. "I thought we were finished, young wolf," the goddess's voice echoed around me. "I still need your help, goddess. I've done everything I can, but I'm no closer to my wolf than I was before." "I already said that it has to come from inside me, I know. But I don't know how. You mentioned Darian being a true alpha, and me being a true Luna, but if that's true, shouldn't we have figured this out already? Do you know why the Luna is just as important as the alpha in a pack?" "Because she's married to the alpha." It felt like a silly question. Everyone respected the Luna because she was the alpha's partner. She might not get to make every decision, depending on the pack, but she was always honored. "No. It's because she represents the moon, just like I do. Wolves are tied to the moon. You feel stronger when the moon is full, and weaker when it's gone, right?" "Yes, that's true. My child, the moon controls the tides. It brings night after day. Without the moon, the world would fall apart. A true Luna carries the meaning of the moon. She brings balance to her pack. But before she can do that, she must be balanced herself. You must be balanced. How can I be balanced when I don't even have my wolf? This isn't about your wolf. It's about your human side. What does that mean? I didn't get it. Was the problem really inside me? I've already said too much. I must go. Suddenly, the goddess appeared in front of me. She leaned down and kissed the top of my head. Warmth spread through my body. You're stronger than you think. And so is the little one you carry. He will become a true leader one day. Now I must go. I can't tell you more. This is your path to walk. I bowed my head, and when I looked up, she was gone. The place around me began to fade. My arms and legs started tingling again, and I heard Soraya's chant slowly return. I sucked in a loud breath, my chest rising fast. It felt like I hadn't breathed the entire time I was with the goddess. Maybe I really hadn't. Soraya stopped chanting, closed her book, and placed it on the seat across from mine. So, did it work? I nodded, not sure if I could trust my voice yet. As if he had been standing right on the other side of the door, and honestly, he probably was. Darian burst in and rushed to my side. Did it work? He repeated Soraya's question. Yes. It worked, sort of. She showed up. But I'm still not sure what I'm supposed to do next. I slowly stood up from the chair, pushing my weight forward so I could rise. It was getting harder to stand with each hour that passed. Thank you for your help, Soraya. I really appreciate it. As I said, thanks aren't needed, but I'll be leaving now, unless you still need something else from me. We'll reach out again if we do, Darian said, holding the door open. Soraya stepped out, and Darian gently shut the door behind her. He paused, resting his forehead against the door and keeping his hand on the knob. I didn't want to bring this up like this, Darian said quietly. Bring what up? I asked, wondering if I should sit back down again. I spoke with Mrs. Evelyn earlier, and she reminded me there's another full moon at the end of this week. He turned around and walked toward me. Okay, is there going to be another pack run? No. I was hoping we could finally have our wedding. Our wedding? Darian, I'm not sure this is the right moment for that. He ran a hand through his hair, and I saw the fear in his eyes. There's probably never going to be a perfect moment. Normally, we'd wait for a blood moon, but that's 2 months away, and he didn't have to finish. We both knew the baby would arrive before then, and chances were slim I'd be strong enough to survive it. Well, to give you full Luna rights, we'd need to be married first. Full rights? I asked, tilting my head slightly. Darian pulled out a folder of papers. I'm guessing you wanted me to sign these. But for your signature to count, you need to be my mate by ceremony, and have your Luna title made official. I had completely forgotten about the form to remove Aphrodite from the pack. But he hadn't. My worries came rushing back. If something happened to me, would she try to get close to Darian again? And if so, how would she treat our baby? I could feel my cheeks heating. I know this probably isn't what you want to deal with, she's part of your pack. I get that, I said slowly. But she's part of the past, Darian said calmly. I understand why you dislike her, and if I were in your shoes, I might have acted worse. I doubt she'd still be walking around. His voice had changed, stronger, colder. The blood alpha in him had surfaced. But you've kept your head. She's crossed the line too many times, and I agree that she shouldn't get away with it anymore. Marry me this week, and I'll sign the papers. He seemed to think that was the only thing he could offer me, but the truth was, he had already given me so much more. His presence. His love. His heart. Of course I'll marry you. It was never a matter of if, just when. And I guess this week works as well as any. Darian gently cupped my face and kissed me. It was slow and meaningful. At that moment, even though we no longer had our bond, I wanted him. I didn't want to wait. I pulled him closer until his arms were around me. One of his hands moved to my belly, then slid around to the small of my back, holding me close. I let my fingers slip through his hair, holding him tighter. Darian backed me up to the desk, brushing the papers aside before lifting me up onto the edge. His movements were smooth and slow. I leaned into him, letting myself enjoy the closeness we had missed for too long. He paused, looking into my eyes to make sure I was okay. I nodded, smiling gently, and he smiled back. He kissed me again, softly and warmly, before helping me down from the desk. I think I should hop in the shower before you start letting people back into the house. Are you trying to tempt me into joining you? Darian grinned as he pulled me into one more kiss. And if I am? I asked playfully. Then you better be ready for more than just a quick shower, he replied, smirking and giving me a light squeeze. Don't tease, Mr. Alpha. I'll be very disappointed if you don't follow through. You don't ever need to worry about that, I always come through. I know. But really, I should get going. He leaned down and kissed my forehead. I love you, Selene. And I sort of like you too, I teased, sticking out my tongue as I slipped away from him. I picked up my pants from the floor and started heading out. You better watch me walk away. I glanced over my shoulder just in time to see him doing exactly that. Chapter 10, Please Slow Down Time. I sat down in the chair, covering my face with my hands because I felt so frustrated. We had been planning things all week. Poor Jackson had been given the job of making sure everything came out just right. There weren't a lot of choices to make for the wedding itself since it was all based on pack traditions, which was perfectly fine with me. If I had to decide on flowers, pick color themes, choose table shapes, or figure out seating charts, I probably would have lost it completely. My mind was already too full, focused on trying to get my wolf back. Time was moving fast, I could feel it. The baby was almost ready to be born, and it scared me more than anything. I didn't feel prepared to be a mom, but what really terrified me was that I might not even live long enough to try. Without Lena, the chances of me surviving were low. There was one thing I was told to choose, though, and it felt impossible. I lifted my head and looked at the dresses hanging in front of me. So many sparkles, so much tulle, way too much fluff. The choice of what to wear was mine alone, and it felt impossible to decide with such little time left. Please, Selene, you need to decide now so we can make any changes if needed. The wedding's tomorrow. The woman helping me, bless her, had been putting up with me all week, and I wasn't even close to picking something. I want something that won't show off, this too much, I said, motioning to my big belly. That's why I brought these newer options. They're snug around the top but flow outward. They'll cover you nicely. Her name was Camille, I think. I really should have remembered after spending so many hours with her, but I didn't. So Camille it was. I blamed the baby brain. But they're all so puffy, I said, wrinkling my nose. You get two main options. Either you go tight-fitting and show the bump, or you choose something with fluff. If you don't want the bump to show, then fluff it is. If you hate frills, then the mermaidess Jacksonville dress is the way to go. She was definitely reaching her limit with me, and honestly, I didn't blame her. I'll look like a floating balloon in a mermaid dress. Then frills it is. Camille quickly cleared her throat. Ma'am. I dropped my hands over my face. Okay, fine. I'll try one on. Camille's shoulders dropped in relief, and she rushed to grab two of the dresses with the soft, full skirts. One had sparkles at the top, and the other had lace, both with long sleeves. I took the lace one first and went into the changing room. Do you need any help, Miss Selene? Camille called out. I can still dress myself, thank you. I shut the door firmly behind me. Getting the dress on wasn't easy, but I refused to ask for help. A sharp ache rolled through my stomach again. I paused, breathing slowly, and gently rubbed my hand over the round curve. Then I picked up the dress, stepped in carefully so I didn't trip on the endless layers, and pulled it up. I managed to slip one arm in, then the other. There was no way I could zip it up by myself, that much I knew. But when I looked in the mirror, I was surprised. The thin lace covered my arms and ended at the back of my hands. The lace melted into the fluffy tulle skirt I had hated earlier. But now, I had to admit, the whole thing looked beautiful. More importantly, I looked beautiful in it. You win. I've picked the one. Are you certain? Camille asked, clearly nervous she had spoken too soon. Yes, I'm sure. Could you zip it up for me? She rushed in like she'd been waiting her whole life for this moment and zipped me up with a huge grin. Oh, Miss Selene, it's perfect. It really is, isn't it? I turned slowly in the mirror, looking at every detail. This is the one. Camille lit up, then gently led me out of the changing room. All right, I'll need you to stand here so I can take the final measurements for the alterations. She lifted one arm, then the other, checking the sleeves. Apparently, the length was just right. She grabbed the fabric at my ribs, where there wasn't much extra space left. Then she kneeled down and pinned the skirt at the bottom. Wonderful. Hardly anything needs to be changed, just a little tighter at the top and a couple inches off the bottom. She stood, smiling, but then her face turned serious. You do know that once we finalize this, there can't be any changes. We're out of time. I completely understand. Thank you for everything. I'm sorry for being such a headache. Miss Selene, my family's been tailoring clothes for the Blackthorns for generations. You're no more trouble than any of them have been. You're even easier than his uncle was. I hadn't heard much about Darian's relatives before. But there was a bit of new info. He'd had an uncle, and apparently, that man was harder to dress than I was. Still, I really appreciate you. I'll leave you be now. I'll have the dress ready first thing in the morning, Miss Selene. I gave a soft smile and walked back into the dressing room to take off the gown and change into something more comfortable. I had about 5 minutes left before I was supposed to meet Darian for lunch. Running was totally out of the question, so I waddled as fast as I could out the door. Thankfully, Jackson was waiting with the car already running. He opened the door for me, and I carefully slid inside. Thanks, Jackson, I sighed loudly. Was it really that rough? Please tell me you finally picked one so Camille can get a break. Ah. So that really was her name. Yes, I picked one. I'm terrible at making choices. I thought it would be easy. Everything else is decided, colors, order, setting. Why doesn't your pack have a set dress as Jackson'll too? Our pack values the surprise of the alpha seeing his Luna for the first time in whatever she chooses to wear. It's been tradition for many generations. Since most things are chosen for the couple, it gives the bride something that's truly hers. Well, that's nice of you. I just don't like being the one to choose those kinds of things. It's done now, and everything else will be done after tomorrow night. Good news is, the skies are expected to be clear with barely any wind, perfect conditions for the ceremony. Can't have anything go wrong, I muttered, rolling my eyes a little. But I knew it mattered. Every part of the ceremony was symbolic of the life we were about to start, one meant to last forever. Darian asked me to let you know he's arranged another appointment after lunch. They want to monitor everything closely. Jackson parked the car. Thanks, Jackson. He got out, circled around, and opened the door for me. We walked into the house and headed to the dining hall. The smell of steak hit me immediately. Good news, she picked a dress, the adjustments will be ready in time, and she knows about the appointment. Thanks, Jackson. Jackson nodded and quietly left the room. Darian stood up, pulled out my chair, and motioned for me to sit down. The food came quickly, and it looked just as amazing as it smelled. Everything is almost finished. They'll be setting up the ceremony chairs this afternoon, and tomorrow morning the tables and seating for the celebration will be arranged. The menu is finalized, and cooking is already underway. Everything is going exactly how I promised. Darian smiled as he pushed in his chair. That's good to hear, because if there wasn't going to be food, I don't think I could marry you. I grinned and scooped up a big spoonful of mashed potatoes. That would truly break my heart, Darian said, leaning over to kiss my cheek. The rest of lunch was filled with talk about the schedule for the next 20 hours. Every single hour was planned, no time for anything unexpected. Once I finished eating, Darian stood up. I hate to rush, but we really need to be on time for your appointment. I nodded and stood, taking his hand as we walked together to Mrs. Evelyn's office. Up on the table, please, she said as soon as she entered the room. I awkwardly climbed onto the table, placing my feet into the stirrups and settling into the all-too-familiar position. Mrs. Evelyn spread the gel over my belly and began the ultrasound. Looks like we've got one very active little one, she said, pointing at the screen. He definitely is, I replied. He never seemed to give me a break. He especially liked to move around late at night. Well, everything here looks good. He's a fully developed baby, just as we expected. Now let's check things below to see what we're dealing with. She turned off the monitor, cleaned up the equipment, and moved to the foot of the table. Huh, she said suddenly. What? Darian grabbed my hand. Is that good or bad? It's just surprising. She's already about 2 centimeters dilated. And what does that mean? Darian asked again. It means her body is already starting to prepare for labor. Labor juxtampically begins around 3 to 4 centimeters. Mrs. Evelyn pulled her chair back and tossed her gloves into the bin. I couldn't say anything. My mind felt foggy. The baby could come at any moment. Labor was near. I hadn't even known Darian a full year yet, and tomorrow, I was marrying him. And soon after, I'd be holding our child. What do we do? Do you want to speed things up or try to slow them down? Darian shot her a sharp look. Right, slow it down. Sadly, there's not much we can do. Based on how this pregnancy has gone, things are moving quicker than usual. The only advice I can give is to avoid anything that could help open the body further, no intimacy or movement meant to encourage delivery. All I could do was nod. I couldn't find any words. My head was spinning. Darian and Mrs. Evelyn kept talking while I got dressed. I walked out of the office in a daze. Cat. Selene. Darian called my name and took my hand, turning me gently toward him. Are you all right? All right? All right? Darian, I'm about to have a baby. This tiny human in here, I pointed at my belly, doesn't want to stay inside. I've barely had time to understand what being a mom even means, and now he's almost here. And that's if I even get to be a mom. My whole life has changed so fast. I lost my pack, found you, was kidnapped, then got pregnant. Nothing has felt okay in a long time. Darian pulled me close into a hug, wrapping his arms around me in that way only he could. I didn't know how, but just like that, the fear inside me started to fade. I know. And I won't tell you everything will be fine, but I will tell you that I'll be right beside you through all of it. And that's really all I can ask for. I wiped the tears that had started falling and took a deep breath. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting exciting daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 11, What's Meant to Be. The sunlight shone through the glass window as it started to dip behind the trees. Only a few more hours left before the ceremony would begin. Would you like me to close the blinds? A woman asked from behind me. No, that's all right. I like watching the sunset. There was a whole team of women getting me ready. Hair, makeup, everything had to be just right. One of them was curling my hair with a hot iron, letting each piece fall in soft, bouncy spirals. She worked fast until my face was surrounded by curls. Then, she pulled parts of it back, pinning them at the back of my head. I had no idea what kind of Jacksonal she was going for, but she was the expert. I couldn't help but think about how many professionals Darian's family had at their fingertips. Every day, someone new seemed to show up. She added little clips with sparkling gems to my hair before spraying it with what felt like half a bottle of hairspray. With how much she used, I was sure it wouldn't move an inch. "We need to balance your skin tone," the other woman said. She got to work with the foundation, making sure every part of my face was covered. When she finished, she stepped back and looked closely at every spot. "All right, Miss Selene, onyx black or dark brown?" she asked, holding out 2 eyeliners. "Black will do." Thank goodness this choice was way easier than picking the dress. "Perfect." She carefully lined my top eyelid, then picked up a pair of false lashes. "Please keep your eyes closed." That was the last thing I wanted to do, knowing glue was about to be near my eyes, but I closed them anyway and tried to stay calm. The glue was cool on my skin, but she worked quickly and finished in no time. Just a few more seconds. "They need to dry." I gave a small nod and took a slow breath, staring across the room at my reflection in the mirror. This was supposed to be one of the best days of my life, the day I say, "I do," and become one with my mate forever. But that joy felt hidden behind the part of me that was still missing, me. I stared into the mirror, and it almost felt like I could see the missing part of my soul. Darian had told me over and over that it didn't matter, I couldn't feel my wolf, that we'd figure it out together, that everything would be okay. But this wasn't something he could fix. The moon goddess had told me this was something only I could do. She'd given me signs, but I still didn't know what they meant. It felt like my soul was gone, along with Lena. Even though Darian hugged me, kissed me, and tried to comfort me, I still wondered if deep down he was disappointed. Disappointed I wasn't the Luna he needed. Because that's what he needed, a Luna. And right now, that's not who I was. I couldn't help but think the rest of the pack saw that too. But I wasn't going to give up. I would keep trying until I found Lena. Until I became the Luna I was meant to be. "I'll be right back," I said, tightening the belt on my white robe as I stood up. "But you're not finished yet," the makeup artist called out, holding up 2 lipstick tubes. "I just need some water. I'll be back soon." I walked down the hallway toward the kitchen for a glass. Then I heard a short, mocking laugh behind me, and I turned around. There stood Aphrodite, as perfect and irritating as ever. My hands curled into fists. "This whole grand show you're putting on, don't you think it's a bit pointless?" she said, folding her arms. "Is it really necessary for you to say something every time we're in the same place?" I snapped. "I don't think you'll be around much longer anyway, will you?" I thought about the papers waiting in Darian's office. In just a few hours, he'd sign them, and this witch would be out of my life for good. "You're completely right. Things are going to be so much better when you're finally gone, Aphrodite. I'm counting the minutes." Something flickered in her eyes, maybe panic? Whatever it was, it vanished the moment she blinked those long lashes. "I'm not worried about me. It's you who should be scared. Everyone knows this whole event is a joke. You know it. Darian knows it. Even Jackson knows it. You're not going to make it to the end of the week. That baby is going to come, and it's going to end you. Isn't that something? The very thing that's supposed to tie you to Darian forever, the baby you made with him, it's going to destroy you." She took a few steps closer. "You were never strong enough, Selene. That was obvious the moment you were dragged across the border into this pack. Since then, you've been nothing but a burden. But it's fine, really. The gods are fixing their mistake." Her eyes dropped to my stomach. "They've figured out you're not worthy of standing beside the Blood Alpha. Nature will take its course, and when it does, Darian will be left alone with his heir. But don't worry, I'll be there to help him through it." She reached her hand out toward my stomach, and I instantly grabbed her wrist, twisting it backward hard. "Don't you even think about touching me or my baby," I snapped. "You won't be anywhere near either of us. By tomorrow evening, you'll be alone in the woods with no pack to shelter you. The only kindness you'll be shown is that the blood alpha lets you walk away instead of burying you in the dirt." Aphrodite chuckled coldly, yanking her arm free. Then she lunged forward and grabbed my neck, shoving me back until I hit the wall. Her grip tightened fast. "You're nothing without your wolf," she hissed. "You're weaker now than you've ever been. There's nothing left inside you, just an EMP Jackson shell, just a carrier for this pack's air. I could end your life right now. It'd be easy. You'd gasp for breath that wouldn't come. But I won't do it. Not because I can't, but because Darian would never forgive me. If you die in childbirth, though, well, that's different. I'll be there to console him, to ease his pain. We have a history, you know. And it wasn't that long ago he couldn't stay away from me." Her smile was twisted and cruel as she reminded me of Darian's past. "I'll admit, I'll miss seeing the light fade from your eyes. But knowing you won't last long is satisfying enough. Enjoy your short moment as Luna." She let go of my throat and walked away without even glancing back. I stayed against the wall, trying to catch my breath as my heart thumped wildly. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through my stomach, making me bend forward. I held my belly tightly, teeth clenched, trying to breathe through it. The pain passed after a few seconds, and I slowly stood up again. I could only hope it was more of those stretching aches from how fast the baby was growing, and not a sign he was ready to come out. Especially not now, not after what Aphrodite said. She might be right. If I died, Darian might go back to her. There was history there. They were supposed to be married before I ever arrived. But if that were really how things were meant to go, I never would have been found at the border. And the moon goddess wouldn't have helped me like she did. No, there had to be a reason for all of this. There had to be. I had to believe everything would turn out the way it was supposed to. Darian and I were meant to have a long life together. I wasn't going to give up on that. Chapter 12, Souls Entwined. Just like Jackson had said, the sky was completely clear. The stars sparkled brightly, but even they couldn't outshine the full moon. The full moon watched over ceremonies in every pack. I was sure that somewhere out there, another pack was holding their own ceremony. But tonight's event felt extra special. The moon was bigger and brighter than usual, every line and shadow on its surface standing out clearly. There was something strong in the air. I wanted Lena back more than ever. It was the kind of moon we would have loved running beneath. The sound of drums started to beat, and I heard the hiss and crackle as the fire lit and grew. It was almost time. Another sharp pain jabbed through my stomach, and I grabbed a nearby pole, biting my lip hard so I wouldn't scream. I'd had random aches here and there over the last month, but never 4 in one day. I took a deep breath and let it out slowly as the pain faded. When it passed, I let go of the pole and headed toward the garden. The fire burned hot and strong, and the drums pounded in a steady rhythm that drowned out every other sound. Everyone in the pack was already in their seats, all dressed down as tradition required, except for Darian, the elder leading the ceremony, and me. The whole event had a wild, natural feeling. I felt my nerves build up, tightening my chest. I wasn't scared about marrying Darian, I was completely sure of that. What scared me was what the others would think. What would they say about having a Luna without a wolf? Would they accept me? It wouldn't be long before I found out. I started walking down the path, and Darian looked up at me. His eyes were wide, his pupils almost filling the space. There was no hiding the emotion in his face. He stared at the lace and soft fabric, the way my hair was done, the makeup, all of it. That look on his face told me everything. I stepped up beside him, and as soon as I stopped, the drums went silent. "You look amazing," he whispered softly. I blushed and looked at the ground. "You don't look too bad either. We're here tonight under the full moon to join two souls forever," the elder began. "With the moon goddess watching us, we now unite Selene Ward and Alpha Darian Blackthorn. Selene and Alpha Blackthorn, please turn to me and kneel." Darian and I both turned toward him and knelt on the soft cushion in front of him. The older man knelt too. Do you swear to be loyal to this pack? I do. The man reached down and scooped up a handful of dirt. Do you swear to protect this land and stay true to it, no matter the cost? I do. Do you swear to stand by the man kneeling next to you? Will you support him when things get hard, defend him when needed, and be faithful to him for all the days of your life? I looked into Darian's eyes. His gaze held mine, steady and full of fire. I do. Alpha Blackthorn, do you swear to stand by the woman kneeling beside you? Will you support her during hardships, defend her always, and stay faithful to her for the rest of your life? Absolutely, I do. Please rise with me. We all stood together, facing the elder. Now, leave behind the human part of yourselves. Let your true forms be seen. A woman from the front row came over and unzipped the back of my dress, then sat back down. I held the front of it for a second, took a breath, and then slid my arms out of the sleeves, letting it fall to the ground and gather in a soft white heap. Darian and I stood across from each other, both of us bathed in the moonlight. The elder stood between us, holding a bowl in his hands. With this blood, I give Alpha Blackthorn the markings of the warrior Alpha. He dipped his fingers into the bowl and carefully traced patterns across Darian's face. Each line was clean, every shape exact. Not a single mark ran or smudged. And with this blood, I grant Luna Blackthorn the signs of the protecting Luna. He dipped his fingers into the bowl once more, bringing them to the center of my forehead. The blood was still warm, clearly from a fresh offering. He circled his fingers near my temple, drawing lines that traveled down my cheek. First one side, then the other. Then he traced the pack symbol right over my heart. My chest felt tight again. It was nearly finished. Now came the moment of truth. Would they stand behind me as their Luna, or would they turn me away? I didn't even want to picture how Darian would react if the pack didn't accept me. Would the blood alpha in him rise up in fury? Or would the rejection simply destroy him from the inside out? I doubted he'd be able to just brush it off. With the moon watching, I unite the spirits of Selene and Darian Blackthorn. Darian and I leaned our heads back and howled up to the moon above. It felt like forever before the pack answered us with their own howl, confirming their acceptance. A wave of energy pulsed across the crowd, so strong that I actually felt it surge through me. We were officially joined, and I was their Luna. It was like a massive weight had been taken off my chest. Darian pulled me into him and kissed me deeply, both of his hands gently holding my face. When we broke apart, he took my hand and we walked together down the aisle, completely bonded at last. Once we were back inside, Darian tugged me close and kissed me again before we were even fully through the doorway. "They love you almost as much as I do," he whispered. That was the first real sign that he had been just as anxious as I was about whether or not the pack would welcome me. "I guess they trust every call their alpha makes," I said, nearly out of breath. "I don't usually make bad ones." We waited for Jackson to bring in our outfits so we could get dressed again for the celebration. Now that the ceremony is done, Jackson and I are heading back out to track down the rogues. We might have a new lead. We're getting closer. "Darian, can't we just let it go?" "Let it go? After everything they did? After the things Nolan pulled? No, I can't let that slide. We're still picking up the pieces of what they caused." His eyes were filled with fury. "Please, Darian. As a wedding gift, for me. Just let it be. They're hiding, and odds are they're never going to show their faces again. They know exactly who they're dealing with. And they already knew that before, and it didn't stop them. That won't scare them off. But now we know who they are, and that's what matters. Please. I'm trying hard to move forward. Promise me, no matter what happens, that you'll leave it alone." His anger didn't go away instantly, but I could see it starting to cool. Thank goodness. Another sharp cramp hit my stomach. I grabbed Darian's arm, breathing slowly to push through it. "Are you all right?" He put a hand on my back. "Yeah, I'm fine. It's nothing." I stood up straight again. The look on Darian's face told me he didn't buy that for 1 second. I promise. I'm okay. I didn't want him to worry. If he knew this had been the 5th time today, he'd drag Mrs. Evelyn back in to check on me immediately. This was meant to be a night of happiness, and I wouldn't let anything ruin it. Jackson came through the door then, carrying Darian's suit and my dress. He glanced at both of us. Everything all right? All good, thanks. I took the dress from him and began slipping it on. We were just talking. Everything's fine, right? I looked over at Darian, and he met my eyes, nodding just slightly. Yeah, right. Okay then. We should get moving. Everyone's outside waiting for us. I motioned for Darian to start getting into his suit and thanked Jackson before letting him go on ahead. Are you ready? I asked Darian. Are you? Always. I grabbed his hand and let him back out before he could say a word more. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 13, One More. Everyone was dressed in their fanciest clothes, already laughing and sipping drinks by the time we arrived. As we walked through the crowd, people paused to bow their heads to us. It felt strange. I'd seen others bow to Darian before, and I had even bowed to my alpha in the past, but never did I imagine I'd be someone important enough to earn one myself. Congratulations, Alpha. Luna, one of the men said warmly. Thank you, Cal, Darian replied, giving a respectful nod. Everything became a blur. Person after person came to offer their congratulations. It was all so much. I'd never been surrounded by so many people who were looking directly at me. Though truthfully, their eyes were on Darian too, my husband. Those 2 words made my heart skip. I couldn't believe it had truly happened. Another sharp cramp hit my belly. I bit down hard on my tongue to stop myself from reacting out loud. One small upside to not being mentally linked with Darian right now, thanks to not having Lena, was that he couldn't sense the pain. But every time it happened, breathing got harder. Still, this wasn't the moment to worry anyone. Eventually, we made it to our seats. The food smelled incredible. I'd caught little hints of it all day coming from the kitchen, and I couldn't wait any longer. I blamed the tiny life growing inside of me. It felt like I could eat forever without feeling full. As soon as Darian and I sat down, everyone else followed suit. Jackson stepped up to the front, holding a microphone in hand. I've known Darian since we were just pups. We caused trouble together non-stop. Some of the guests laughed, clearly remembering the things Jackson was hinting at, stories I still hadn't heard about Darian. But more than that, he took me under his wing and taught me what it meant to keep a pack together. He showed me what true sacrifice looks like, how to protect others, and most of all, how to lead without selfishness. If not for him, for his father, his grandfather, for all of the Blackthorns, this pack wouldn't be what it is today. None of them backed down. Each one of them led with strength and purpose, and Darian continues that legacy. And now, he's got even more to protect. He has a beautiful wife in Selene, and very soon, a little pup of his own, one who I'm sure will get into as much mischief as he did growing up. Everyone nodded and bowed their heads in gratitude for their alpha and everything he'd done to make this pack one that could never be taken lightly. As Jackson spoke, I suddenly pictured our child taking on the title of Blood Alpha someday, long after Darian and I were gone. The baby inside me would one day lead this pack. He would become the stuff of legends. Another sharp cramp seized me. I gasped before I could stop myself. Darian's head whipped toward me. What is it? Nothing. I'm okay, I said quickly. Everyone still seemed to be listening to Jackson speak, thankfully. It's not nothing. You're hurting, Darian said under his breath as he leaned in. I slowly exhaled. See? I'm all right. It's fine. I could tell he didn't believe me. Honestly, I was starting not to believe myself. Something was definitely happening. And then, I felt it. I locked eyes with Darian. I think my water just broke. I didn't think his eyes could get any wider, but they did. Jackson. Darian shouted mid-speech. Have Evelyn meet us in the infirmary. Now. Everything went quiet. Darian grabbed my hand and started pulling me with him. Slow down. I shouted once we were far enough from the others. We can't slow down. We need to get you there, fast. We need. I tugged hard, stopping him in his tracks. What I need is for you to breathe. I pulled his face close and kissed him. It might be the last kiss I ever gave him. But I needed him calm. We couldn't afford panic. Selene, you don't understand. I do. More than anyone else, I do. There's no more guessing. It's time. Let's go meet our son. Darian scooped me into his arms and carried me the rest of the way to the infirmary. Somehow, Evelyn had arrived before us. She was waiting, already in her medical gown, 2 nurses standing beside her, all ready to go. Alpha, I need to ask you to step out, she said. I'm staying right here. His tone was even, but final. He set me gently down. She looked like she wanted to argue, but she didn't. Another wave of pain tore through me and I collapsed to my knees. One of the nurses rushed over, lifting me from the ground. Darian stood nearby, helpless. There was nothing he could do now. They helped me onto the exam table. One nurse grabbed scissors and began cutting away the layers of tulle in the dress. She had to lift my legs into the stirrups. I couldn't move. I could only feel pain. He's coming, Evelyn said. I could barely hear her. Her voice felt like it was echoing through a tunnel. Luna, I need you to stay with me. I shook my head weakly. The pain took up every inch of my body. Each time it started to fade, another wave came stronger than before. I need you to push, Luna. I couldn't. I had nothing left in me. All my energy had gone into enduring the pain. There was none left for anything else. If you don't, he could die. He needs to come out now, Selene, said one of the nurses. Darian snapped something at her, but I couldn't catch it. I couldn't let our son die. If I failed, Darian wouldn't get the chance to keep him safe. Let's go, Selene. Push with the next one, the nurse said urgently, holding my hand. I gripped her fingers tight and pushed as the next pain wave hit me. It was like I was breaking in two. My body burned, and it wouldn't stop. Darian leaned over, brushing the damp strands off my forehead. His touch felt far away, but I knew it was him. I kept pushing. I couldn't hear what the nurses were saying anymore. Everything sounded so distant. Everything except the pain, it was the only thing that still felt real. I didn't know how much longer I could keep going. The world seemed to drift away. One more, Luna. Just one more. A scream ripped from my throat as I gave one last push. And somewhere, faint, far away, I heard a cry. It's a boy, someone called out, though it sounded like they were shouting from underwater. The burning started to fade, and then everything went dark. Chapter 14, Blood Luna. Darian. I felt her body go soft, her head drop to the side, and I thought my heart was going to stop. I wasn't ready. Not yet. Nothing could have gotten me ready to lose my mate. It felt like my whole world was falling apart around me. Alpha, please take him so we can help her, Mrs. Evelyn said, pushing a bundle of blankets into my hands. He was tiny. So delicate. I didn't even know how to hold a baby. He didn't even have a name yet. Selene and I never got the chance to talk about names. The 3 women stood around Selene, talking fast about how much blood she had lost. It was the scariest thing I'd ever seen come true. We didn't have time to understand what was happening. And now she was fading. This might be the last time I'd ever see her. She still had sweat on her face, but she looked calm. Like she was just resting and would wake up any second. She had been hiding things from me, saying nothing was wrong every time I asked. It felt like she didn't trust me with the truth. That hurt more than anything. "You really need to go," Mrs. Evelyn said again. I stared at her hard, letting her know with my eyes that I wasn't moving. I wouldn't go sit in another room and wait. I wouldn't sit and wonder if she was okay or gone. And if this was going to be the end for her, then I was going to stay with her. I would be right there. Selene. The dark place around me started to brighten, and I saw a little boy running in a green field, almost tripping over his feet. "Daddy," he shouted, running to a tall, strong man. It was Darian. The boy was our son. I smiled so big. I waved at them, but they didn't wave back. "What? You're going to act like I'm not even here?" I called, walking closer. Neither of them looked at me. "Darian?" I tried to touch his shoulder, but it felt like something was in the way, keeping us apart. He looked at his shoulder like he felt something, then turned back to our boy. "Okay, Kale, time to go home now?" Darian asked him. "But I want to fight," the little boy said, crouching and showing his teeth with a tiny growl. Darian laughed. "One more, then ice cream?" "Ice cream." Kale jumped on Darian, and they fell into the grass, giggling and playing. Then everything around me changed. We weren't in the field anymore. Kale wasn't little now. He was a teenager, running with some boys. He looked just like Darian when he was young. They were sneaking out of school. It looked exactly like something Darian would have done. Then they met a group of girls, and that was all I wanted to see. I didn't want to know what happened next. Was I already gone? Was I just allowed to peek at these little moments from my child's life? Why were these the ones I got to see? I felt another change. The sun was gone, and Kale's face wasn't happy anymore. It was full of pain and red from crying. I turned to look at what he was staring at. There were 2 stones on a wall. They had our names, Selene Blackthorn and Darian Blackthorn, written on them. Darian's pack didn't bury people. They burned them and put their names on a wall for heroes and leaders. There was a special spot just for the alphas. Our names were the newest ones added. "Rick, do you want me to talk to the pack for you?" a man standing beside Kale asked. "No, thanks, Alec. I just need a minute." Alec didn't say anything else. He just stood with him. I wanted to go over, hold Kale's hand, and tell him everything would be okay. That he had everything he needed to be great. That he would be a strong man and an even better alpha. But I couldn't touch him. He couldn't hear me. Kale and Alec walked to the rest of the pack. Kale stood in front of everyone. His face was wet from crying, but he didn't try to hide it. His hurt showed in his eyes. My dad told me to always be real with myself. If a leader can't be real, then he can't be real with his people either. Telling the truth is strong. And to be honest, I don't know what I'm doing. Kale looked around at everyone. But that's okay, because my dad didn't know either when he began. Nothing gets you ready to be alpha. But I promise to protect this pack. I promise to be honest with who I am and about what dangers we face. I promise to keep no secrets. Kale's words hit me hard. Being honest, being real, that was exactly what Darian believed. He had used his fierce side to protect his people. He would do anything to keep them safe. Then I remembered what the moon goddess told me. A true Luna brings balance. I was supposed to bring peace to the pack. I always knew I couldn't do that if I wasn't balanced inside. But I had thought the problem was with my wolf, when really, the problem had been inside me all along. I was broken even before my wolf disappeared, because I wasn't being true to myself. I was scared to accept a part of me. I had been told to hide it when I was little, and I did, but it still showed up sometimes. It made me leave my old pack. It made me hurt that rogue. That part of me was wild, just like Darian. Now I knew the truth. Hiding that side of me, trying to act like it wasn't there, made my soul unsteady. I wasn't quiet. I wasn't someone who stood back while bad things happened. I was strong enough to protect myself and my people. I wasn't some perfect Luna who just stood beside her alpha and smiled. I was made to stand next to Darian as his equal. I was the Blood Luna. Chapter 15, His Future. Everything was black. I couldn't see or hear a thing. The only thing I could feel was heat moving fast inside my body. It was like my whole self was on fire. Bit by bit, I started feeling again, and pain was the first to come. My whole body felt tired, but the ache came before anything else. I felt people touching me and pulling gently. The stitching is finished. Those were the first words I heard. My eyes flew open. I heard someone gasp nearby and turned my head to see Darian. His eyes were big and shocked as he looked at me. Selene. It came out soft like a whisper. A breath of relief? But that look on his face. Was it fear? What's wrong? I asked, my voice weak. As soon as I spoke, everyone around me stopped moving. Selene, your eyes, he said, his voice shaking. I turned my head to the mirror on the wall. And I saw them, my wolf eyes. But instead of glowing amber, they were dark red. My heart banged hard inside my chest, and I quickly shut my eyes. This had to be part of the dream I'd been having. It couldn't be real, none of it was real. I breathed in and out to calm down. With each breath, the burning in my body faded. When my heartbeat slowed and I didn't feel like I was melting anymore, I opened my eyes again. The red was gone. It was just me. Mrs. Evelyn walked around fast, checking my pulse, running little tests, doing everything she could think of. She muttered to herself as she worked. Everything looks normal. Her heartbeat is strong. There are no signs of the damage she went through. And she's already healing. Darian came closer and held my hand tight. Right away, that same strong buzz traveled through my fingers and up my arm. It was our bond, that special thing that tied us together. The bundle in Darian's arms made a tiny cry. My baby? I slowly sat up, feeling sore. Darian leaned down and gently placed the baby in my arms. He had his daddy's face. The nose, the jaw, everything. He was like Darian's little twin. I remembered the little boy from my dream. The one who turned into a wise, brave young man. Kale. I looked up at Darian. Kale Blackthorn. Kale it is, he said and kissed me, the sparks between us flaring up again. I'm so glad you're all right. I really thought we were going to lose you. Did you really think it'd be that simple to get rid of me? I smiled, and he smiled back. Blood Luna. But then my smile disappeared. Darian, we need to talk about some things. What is it? His eyebrows drew together. I looked at the women still in the room. Oh, yes. We have things to handle. We'll step out. Call if you need anything, Mrs. Evelyn said, hurrying the other two out. I knew she didn't want to go, not without being sure that me and the baby were totally okay. Once it was just us, I didn't know where to start. My mind was a mess. Darian, you need to know a few things about me. The words were hard to get out. Selene, I know you. No, I stopped him. You don't. Ever since I was little, there's been this dark thing inside me. Something my pack had never seen before, not within our lands. My mom and dad told me to hide it. They wanted me to push it down and never let it show. But it was so hard. It's like trying to lock up your wolf and never let it out. This thing always wanted me to notice it. It wanted to break free. And when it finally did, I lost my life in the pack. I was lucky it didn't end my life completely. My family was close to the Alpha, so he let me sneak away one night, but he made me promise to never return. My voice faded. What was it? Darian was pulled in completely. This was a part of me he never knew. He was finally seeing the final missing piece of me. It was that same part of me that shoved my hand into that rogue's chest and tore her heart out. That side of me, it loves to fight. It needs it. That's the part that kept me alive when I was out there alone. I can't be the Luna who just stays inside, watching the children while the man leads and keeps everyone safe. I'm made to chase and battle, just like you. Darian, I think we were made to be mates because we are the same kind of people. We'll do whatever it takes to keep our loved ones and our pack safe. A Luna is meant to bring balance, to herself, her mate, and her people. You don't have to carry it all alone. We can do this together. I want to do this with you. Selene, he said softly. You saw it, Darian. You saw it in my red eyes when I woke up. That's not normal. I'm not normal. There's more to us than what's expected. We are equals, and we should treat each other that way, and so should the pack. I want to go on search parties. I want to help with the guard teams. I need this. I looked down at tiny Kale. His eyes were shut, his breathing calm as he slept in my arms. I didn't just want him to learn how to be a great leader. I wanted him to learn how to share leadership. To accept help. To divide duties with the one he chooses someday. Okay. I looked up. I could see the doubt in Darian's eyes. This wasn't what people thought a Luna should be. Lunas were supposed to be quiet leaders, the ones who helped their mates stay in control and gave strength to the community Jackson. But that's not who I was born to be. I wasn't made to follow the rules. I was made to stand by my partner's side and do everything he could do. I was made to be a protector too. I looked down at the small baby resting in my arms. No one was ever going to chase me again like that night near the edge of the pack. I was never going to be beaten again. Not by another pack. Not by my own people. Not by some rogue. I was a force to be feared. And Darian and I were going to teach Kale what it really meant to be strong, to be a leader, a father, a husband. I was going to make sure he had the best examples anyone could ask for. I was never going to let him, or any child of mine, grow up feeling like they had to hide part of who they were. They were going to learn to love all of who they are and never waste their time on people who look down on them. And speaking of people who look down on others, I've got a girl to deal with, I said, turning to Darian. Chapter 16, You're done. Somehow, I found the strength to get up and put on soft clothes, even with how much my body hurt. Darian already looked so relaxed while holding our baby boy, and little Kale couldn't have been in better hands. Seeing that made me strong enough to walk outside and meet the pack, even though Darian's eyes were begging me not to. He didn't say a word, but I knew he wished I wouldn't go out there right now. Still, I had to. If not now, then never. Each step I took made the pain ease a little as my body fixed itself. I had missed how strong and full I felt with my wolf spirit back. Most of the pack was still standing outside, waiting to hear if me and the baby were okay. But when they saw me walk out, the shock on their faces said they didn't expect the news to come from me. And honestly, I couldn't blame them. I should have been lying down half dead, and I probably looked like I'd come straight from a nightmare. I want to see Aphrodite, I told the people nearby. They all looked at each other. Everyone already knew there was bad blood between me and her. I said, I want Aphrodite. I spoke louder this time, in case anyone was pretending not to hear. There was movement off to my right as people stepped aside, and then she appeared. Aphrodite looked perfect, like always. Her long blonde hair was smooth with no mess, her shiny silver dress hugged every part of her body, and that same proud little grin pulled at her lips the second she saw me. I was finished with this girl who thought she was some kind of gift from the goddess. Her time in this pack was over. Aphrodite, I said, locking eyes with her. I didn't look away for even a second. I'm giving you a chance to walk away. Go to your room, grab your stuff, and leave. She tilted her head back and laughed. I'm not leaving, Luna, she said with a mean voice. Yes, you are. You'll be gone tonight. But how you go, walking, dragged, or carried in a bag, is up to you. I don't care how. People around us started whispering, but I didn't pay attention. I was done letting Aphrodite think she was better than me. I wasn't going to let her talk down to me, not in front of everyone. Who do you think you are, Selene? The alpha now? The whispers got louder, and Aphrodite looked around proudly, her smirk getting bigger. No. I know I'm the Luna. And that's what makes you mad. You believe it should be you. You think you should be the one standing in front of the pack, holding Darien, and raising the baby boy who will one day lead the strongest pack around. But it's not you. It's me. It was always supposed to be me. The moon goddess picked me. You weren't strong enough. I was. I am. And I always will be. Aphrodite's grin turned into an angry glare. You think you're stronger than me? You have no idea what it takes to lead a pack like this. You don't know how to be what Darien needs. You don't know how to raise a true alpha. The pack went silent. No one moved at all. You don't know what I am, I said softly, and I felt the change happen inside me. When I saw Aphrodite's eyes grow wide, I knew mine had turned red again. I felt my wolf, Lena, waking up inside me, and I welcomed her after missing her for so long. I let her come forward, letting go of my human skin and letting the fur come out. Aphrodite changed too, shifting fast and attacking right away, jumping at me with teeth and claws flying. But Lena was ready. Her instincts kicked in the moment she came alive. I missed you, Lena, I said. I missed you too, she answered as she moved quickly to dodge Aphrodite's attack and rolled away, then bit down on her tail. Before a growl even came out of Lena, I felt her paw smack the ground, and I rolled to the side. Weak, huh? Still think I'm weak? Aphrodite said inside my head. I stayed still, waiting. When she got close, I sprang up and knocked her over. I pinned her down and bit at her neck. I felt Darien nearby, and then his voice came into my mind. Selene. Darien, I need you to trust me, not doubt me. If you let her stay after this, then you're telling everyone they don't need to respect me. I looked back at the wolf still squirming under me. Say you'll leave now, and I'll let you go. Never. I bit down harder on her throat. She let out a painful howl, and I tasted blood. Walk out, or get carried out. Your call. I bit deeper, more blood coming out. She cried out again. Fine. I let go and stepped back, then lifted my paw and scratched 4 deep lines across her face, starting from her forehead, over her eye, and down to her jaw. Then I turned to the pack. I banish you from this pack. If you ever step across our land again, the order is to kill you right away. Your bad and dangerous actions have marked you as a rogue. Other packs will see the marks and know not to let you in. You'll always be alone. You'll never rule anyone. You'll never belong to a pack again. Aphrodite's wolf growled once and snapped at the air before running off into the darkness and vanishing. I changed back into my human self and looked at the rest of the pack. Let it be clear that no one will be allowed to act like she did, Darien said loudly, his voice strong and firm while holding baby Kale wrapped in a blanket. I looked at him, surprised he spoke up. Aphrodite went too far, and that won't happen again. I expect all of you to show Selene the same respect you show me. She is my mate, my wife, your Luna, and the mother of this pack's future leader. One by one, the pack people bent down on one knee to show respect and loyal Jackson to their alpha, and to me. Darien walked up and wrapped his fingers with mine. That warm spark from his hand filled me up with a sweet feeling I had really missed. I knew the pack was waiting for us to tell them the name of our baby, but I had nothing left in me to do it. We're going to sleep now, I said. I was too tired for any nice-sounding words. We'll talk to the pack tomorrow. I pulled Darien back toward the house. Chapter 17, Strength, Courage, Family. I didn't notice until just now, but this is really the last chapter of Finding My Luna. Maybe someday I'll come back and write more about Darien, Selene, and Kale, to see how they're doing with their new family, to see how Darian does with being equal partners with Selene and leading the pack. But for now, the story about this part of their lives is almost done. I really want to say thank you to everyone who kept reading, even with all the times I didn't update, got stuck with no ideas, or had to stop because I was moving or starting a new job. Thank you for waiting and coming back to read about these people. Your support means more than I can say. Now, let's finish the rest of the story. A bunch of helpers had been getting me ready all morning for the special event that would happen in the afternoon. It wasn't every day that the pack got a new leader in training, and like everything else, the whole event was filled with fancy celebration for the baby who might someday lead the pack. One lady was brushing my hair, trying to get the knots out of the long strands, but it felt more like she was trying to rip my hair out. Another lady was clipping and trimming my fingernails, one more was filing my toes, and the last one came close with makeup. You should wait till she's done pulling my hair, unless you want your hard work ruined by my crying, I told the makeup lady. She gave me a frown, set her brushes down, and walked away. Then, yank, the brush pulled at my head again. For the love of the goddess, please tell me you're almost finished back there. Sorry, Luna. There's one big tangle that's hard to get, okay, got it. I sighed with relief when she placed the brush down on the table. Finally. My head stung like it had been set on fire. The lady behind me started pulling again, this time twisting my hair and putting it into shapes she liked, then sticking in hairpins to hold it close to my head. I didn't know how long I could sit there before I yanked all the pins out and freed my poor hair. A man wheeled in a rack full of dresses, all in emerald green, which was the pack's color. You can leave those there. I'll check them out when my head is done, I said, pointing to my hair. Of course, the man said, bowing before leaving the room. I was sure he'd worked all night and all morning to fix every dress, making sure whichever one I picked would fit me just right. He probably had a whole team helping him all night. It still didn't feel real that I now had a group of people like this helping me every day. People to cook whatever food I wanted, sew my clothes, fix my hair, do my makeup, everything. If someone had told me this would be my life a year ago, I never would have believed them. With the last pin stuck in place, my hair was done. I looked at it in the mirror, the fancy twisted knot sparkled with tiny shiny stones. It looked fancy. Thank you, I really love it. My pleasure, Luna, the lady said as she bowed and walked out. The makeup lady I sent away came back in with her brushes. She didn't waste time talking and got to work right away. Sometimes, I wished the staff would talk to me more. They were all serious all the time. They never gave me a chance to have fun conversations with them. They were amazing at what they did, but it made me sad that they stayed quiet and didn't let me get to know them. She put foundation on my face, then did my eyebrows. After that, she brushed my eyelashes to curl them perfectly, added black liner, then used green and gold colors on my eyelids. She did it all so carefully, even adding a soft gold brown shine to my lips. When she was done, she checked my face for a second and then held up the mirror. I almost didn't recognize myself. It looked so good. Thank you. She bowed and left like the others. I got up and walked over to the dresses. I ran my fingers through them, feeling each one, moving them aside. But one of them caught my eye. I pulled it from the rack and held it up. The shape was perfect. I took off my robe and stepped into the dress, pulling it up. The soft cloth slid over my skin. The sheer green sleeves hugged my arms, and I slipped my middle fingers into the small loops to keep the sleeves tied to the back of my hands. The top part fit me perfectly, low but covering just enough. From the waist down, the dress had lots of layers made of soft see-through cloth. It was thick to the thighs, then thin and flowy to the floor. I looked in the mirror, and I couldn't believe it. I looked like a forest fairy. The sparkly twists in my hair, the brown and green makeup on my face, and the way the dress moved, even the soft breeze in the room made it dance. And from the quiet gasp at the door, Darian thought the same. You look completely beautiful, Darian said, walking across the room. He couldn't stay away from me and gently touched my cheek. I melted into the cozy feeling and looked at his strong body dressed in a sharp black suit that fit just right, topped off with a green tie and matching pocket square. "You look good too." I wanted to hug him tight so badly, and I could tell Darian felt the same. But we needed to stay focused. "Where's Kale?" I asked. "They should be bringing him out for the event now." "Want to go see him?" His eyes locked with mine. All I could do was nod. I really wished everything hadn't happened so fast. Darian and I hadn't had a moment alone with getting married, having Kale, almost dying, kicking Aphrodite out, and now this big event for Kale. The pull I felt toward Darian was even stronger than the first time, but I hadn't had the chance to follow it. My whole body wanted his touch, to feel that warm spark all over me again. After today, nothing would be able to take me away from Darian except our baby boy. There wouldn't be any more events for a while, no more big stuff. It would just be Darian, Kale, and me. Darian grabbed my hand and led me to the backyard. The pack was already coming together, wearing their nicest clothes. Kale was lying in a green cradle under the shade. I walked over to our little boy. His eyes lit up, and he gave a big gummy smile, spit bubbles popping at his mouth. I smiled back. He was dressed in a little green outfit too. Darian rested a hand gently on my back. "Are you ready?" I stood taller and nodded before turning to face everyone. "Thank you for being here today for this happy moment," I began. "I know the last few days have been wild with the wedding and everything else that's happened," I said, and the crowd let out a soft laugh. "But now, we are here to welcome the newest member of our pack." Darian picked Kale up from the cradle and held him up for everyone to see. "This is Kale Blackthorn, son of Selene and Darian Blackthorn, and next in line to lead this pack. May we help him grow strong, teach him right from wrong, and may he carry on the heart of our pack." I placed my hand on Darian's arm, already sure that he would be the best example for our son. I just hoped Kale would become alpha because Darian chose to pass the title on, not like what I saw in that dream when I was unconscious. Jackson came up holding a little bowl and dipped his finger into the thick red stuff inside. "May Kale have the power of the full moon," he said, placing a red dot on Kale's forehead. "May he have the soul of the alphas before him to help him walk the right path." Jackson dipped his finger again and drew the start of an A with a moon in the middle. "And may the whole pack stand with him to keep things steady." Then he circled the whole mark with one final shape. "Strength, courage, family," Jackson said as he set the bowl down. The whole pack repeated after him, "Strength, courage, family." Tears filled my eyes at the love the pack showed us. They really were like one big family. "To the next alpha, Kale Blackthorn," Jackson said and raised his hands. Everyone stood up and placed a fist to their chest before bowing. I turned to Darian, stood on my toes, and kissed his cheek. Then I gently cupped Kale's little chin. He didn't know what kind of life was waiting for him, but I knew he'd grow up to be a strong leader. The blood alpha would be here for a long, long time. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like and share this video to continue listening to this type of story daily and also, to appreciate this community too. I would like to hear your wonderful opinion about this story. Please comment below.